Chapter 1. The Power of Forgiveness. When the heart finally lets go. Have you ever held onto a memory so tightly that it began to define who you are? Maybe it was the look in their eyes when they walked away. Maybe it was the silence after you confessed everything, and they said nothing at all. Maybe it was the way your heart shattered when your twin flame, the person your soul recognized, instantly became the source of your deepest pain. And somewhere inside you whispered, I can't forgive them. Not yet. But what if forgiveness isn't about saying it's okay? What if forgiveness is the moment you decide to stop suffering for a story that has already ended? What if forgiveness is the doorway to your freedom? The misunderstanding of forgiveness. We often confuse forgiveness with forgetting. We think forgiving someone means excusing their behavior or pretending the hurt never happened. But true forgiveness isn't about amnesia. It's about alchemy. When you forgive, you don't erase what happened. You transform the energy that pain left behind. It's the moment when anger stops feeding off your life force. It's the sacred pause between holding on and letting go. Holding on to resentment is like clutching a burning coal, hoping the other person feels the heat. But it's your hand that blisters, your heart that hardens, your energy that dims. Forgiveness, then, is not for them. It's for you. It's an act of self-liberation, a silent rebellion against the energy of pain. You forgive not because they deserve peace but because you do. The twin flame. Mirror. When you meet your twin flame, it's not just love. It's a mirror. Every wound you've buried, every shadow you've denied, every piece of you that's unhealed, all of it rises to the surface. You don't just fall in love with them. You fall into yourself. That's why the pain cuts so deep. Because this isn't ordinary heartbreak. It's spiritual surgery. They trigger your deepest insecurities, not to destroy you, but to show you what still needs light. So when your twin flame hurts you, betrays you, abandons you, or disappears, it's not punishment. It's reflection. The anger you feel isn't just toward them. It's toward the parts of yourself that you've suppressed for too long. The disappointment isn't about their behavior. It's about the expectations you once projected onto them. When you finally see this clearly, forgiveness stops being an impossible task and becomes a natural evolution. You realize they didn't come to break you, they came to awaken you. The energy mechanics of forgiveness. From a spiritual perspective, forgiveness is not an idea. It's an energetic shift. It's the vibration of release. The moment your heart says, I no longer choose to feed this pain. Every thought of blame or resentment sends a frequency through your energy field. A dense vibration that keeps you stuck in the same emotional timeline. That's why people who can't forgive stay energetically connected to the moment of trauma. The soul knows this. That's why healing always begins with forgiveness. When you release the blame, you stop reliving the story. Your energy starts to flow again. Forgiveness doesn't erase karma. It transcends it. Because karma is not punishment. It's a loop. And forgiveness is the exit door. Forgiving the twin flame. This is the hardest one, isn't it? How do you forgive someone who mirrored your light, but also your darkness? How do you forgive the person who saw your soul and still walked away? You start by understanding that they are not the villain of your story. They are the reflection of your evolution. They showed you what still hurts. They taught you what unconditional love truly means. Not romantic attachment, but soul-level compassion. When your twin flame triggered your abandonment wounds, it wasn't cruelty. It was initiation. When they pushed you to your limits, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Forgiving them doesn't mean you must reconcile or re-enter the same dynamic. It means you recognize the divine role they played in your awakening. You blessed them, and you set both of you free. As long as you hold anger, your energy stays tied to theirs in resistance. But when you forgive, the cord transforms from pain to peace. You no longer vibrate at the frequency of conflict. You become the embodiment of love itself. And that's when the magic happens. Your twin flame feels it. Not through words but through energy. Because your souls have never stopped communicating. Forgiving yourself. If forgiving them is difficult, forgiving yourself can feel impossible. You replay the moments you said too much or too little. The messages you sent when you were desperate. The silence you maintained when your heart wanted to speak. The love you gave when they didn't return it. You blame yourself for not being enough or for caring too much. But all of that blame is rooted in illusion. You were learning. You were healing. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. When you forgive yourself, you reclaim your innocence. You remember that even the mistakes were sacred steps in your soul's curriculum. You stop carrying guilt as proof of love. You allow yourself to be human, messy, emotional, evolving, divine. Repeat this softly to yourself. I forgive myself for not knowing then what I know now. I was growing. I am still growing. And that is enough. Forgiving the past. Forgiveness doesn't stop with your twin flame. It reaches further back, to your childhood, your parents, your exes, your past lives even. Every person who betrayed you was unknowingly preparing you for this higher form of love. Maybe your father's distance taught you to crave connection. Maybe your mother's silence taught you to find your voice. Maybe every heartbreak was a rehearsal for the ultimate reunion with your own soul. When you forgive the past, you release all those energetic cords pulling you backward. You stop dragging the old stories into your present. You begin to exist in real time, the now where love lives. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength, because it means you refuse to let pain dictate your identity. The practice of forgiveness. Let's bring this from theory to embodiment. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel your heart expand with every inhale. Visualize the person or situation that still holds emotional weight for you. Imagine standing before them in a field of golden light. Say silently, I release you from the role you played in my pain. I release myself from the story that binds us. Forgive you. I forgive me. I set us both free. Watch the light between you grow brighter, until both of you dissolve into it, two souls, merging into one radiant source. Stay in that frequency for a few moments. That's the vibration of liberation. That's what true forgiveness feels like. The aftermath, the shift. When you start practicing forgiveness from the soul, things change. Your body feels lighter. Your energy begins to attract peace instead of conflict. You may even notice synchronicities, signs, dreams, gentle reminders from the universe saying, yes, you did it. You're free. Your twin flame might reappear or they might not. But it won't matter anymore, because your peace no longer depends on their presence. That's when the real union begins, the union within yourself. Forgiveness opens that door. It doesn't promise a perfect ending, but it guarantees an authentic one, where your love is no longer tainted by resentment or fear. The closing reflection. So ask yourself, what would it feel like to live without the story of pain? Who would you become if you finally forgave, not because they asked for it, but because your soul deserves it? The moment you forgive, you rise above time. You stop being the character in the story and become the author. You stop waiting for closure, because you are the closure. Forgiveness is the highest vibration of love. Not the love that demands, not the love that clings, but the love that liberates. And in that space of liberation, your twin flame doesn't need to return. They already live within you. You are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are the keeper of your peace. You are free. If this message resonates with you, remember, forgiveness is the most radical act of self-love. Comment below, I choose forgiveness, and let the universe witness your freedom. Chapter 2. The energy of forgiveness, how letting go changes your frequency. There is an invisible shift that happens when you truly forgive, not in your mind but in your energy field. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible. You breathe differently. You feel a strange calm where chaos once lived. And for the first time in a long time, your heart stops fighting time itself. Forgiveness at its essence is not a concept, it's frequency alchemy. It's the process of transforming dense emotional energy into light. It's the soul's way of saying, I choose harmony over history. Let's go deeper. The weight you didn't know you carried. Every emotion has a vibration. Anger, shame, blame, and resentment all sit on the lower spectrum of energetic frequency. Heavy, sticky, cyclical. Love, compassion, gratitude, and peace vibrate at the higher end. Fluid, radiant, expansive. When you hold on to resentment toward your twin flame or your past, your energetic body begins to store those vibrations. Imagine it like an emotional residue coating your heart. You can't see it, but it dulls your light. You wake up tired even after resting. You feel blocked in your manifestations. You keep attracting the same emotional experiences because you're resonating at the same old frequency. Forgiveness is the energetic cleanse that resets your vibration. It's not about forgetting the story, it's about clearing the charge attached to it. Once you release the charge, your soul frequency begins to rise again, aligning with love, abundance, and freedom. You begin to feel lighter not because life changed overnight, but because you stopped carrying what was never yours to begin with. The science of emotional energy. Let's look at this from a scientific perspective. Neuroscientists have discovered that emotions are not abstract. They're biochemical responses that alter your body's electromagnetic field. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel generates a frequency, measurable by your heart and brain. When you replay painful memories, your nervous system re-enters the same stress cycle. Your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tense. Your energetic field contracts. Now imagine what happens when you hold on to that for months or years. Your body literally becomes addicted to pain because the chemistry of resentment becomes familiar. That's why forgiveness feels so hard. It's not just emotional, it's neurological. But here's the magic. The moment you choose to forgive, your body begins to rewire itself. You shift from survival mode to creation mode. Your heart's electromagnetic field, which is 60 times more powerful than your brain's, expands. And that expansion changes everything. Forgiveness activates coherence, the natural harmony between your heart, mind, and energy field. You stop being at war with yourself. You start attracting experiences that mirror your new state of peace, energetic resonance, and the twin flame connection. In the twin flame journey, both souls are connected through energetic resonance, like two tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency. When one holds resentment or pain, the connection becomes distorted. Signals get crossed. Triggers intensify. Separation becomes inevitable, not as punishment but as protection because the energy field of love can't fully function in distortion. But when one twin begins to forgive, to release, to shift back into alignment, something miraculous happens. The other twin feels it. Not consciously perhaps, but energetically. The field between both souls begins to recalibrate. The static clears. Peace replaces projection. Communication deepens, sometimes even telepathically, through dreams, signs, and synchronicities. That's why inner work is never wasted. Your healing sends ripples through the shared energetic field. Forgiving your twin flame doesn't just free you, it softens them too, even if you never speak again. Because love travels faster than words. The heart is a portal. Your heart is not just an organ. It's a portal. It's where human and divine energy meet. When you hold grudges, the heart chakra constricts, creating energetic blockages that limit your ability to give or receive love. You may try to meditate, manifest, or pray, but if the heart is closed, energy can't flow freely. Forgiveness reopens that portal. It's like unclogging a sacred river that has been dammed for too long. Once the current flows, you feel it, your chest expands, your breathing deepens, your entire aura glows. Many people describe the physical sensations of forgiveness as warmth in the chest, tingling in the spine, tears streaming without sadness. That's your energy field releasing density, literally transmuting pain into light. It's the soul remembering, I was never meant to suffer forever. I was meant to evolve. Letting go versus holding on. We often think holding on gives us control. We replay the story, analyze the mistakes, protect ourselves with anger, because letting go feels like surrendering power. But here's the paradox: holding on keeps you chained to what hurt you. The energy of control vibrates at fear. The energy of forgiveness vibrates at trust. When you let go, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying, I trust that life will bring me peace beyond this moment. You release the illusion of control and align with the divine order of healing. In energetic terms, letting go raises your frequency from resistance to allowance. You stop pushing against reality and start flowing with it. That's when synchronicities return. That's when love begins to find its way back to you, not as punishment or reward, but as resonance. The ripple effect of a forgiving heart. Forgiveness doesn't just change your personal vibration, it affects the collective field. Each time you release judgment and send love instead, you raise the frequency of the planet. Because energy never stays isolated. It expands, connects, multiplies. When you forgive your twin flame, you're healing generations of karmic energy tied to love, rejection, abandonment, and shame. You're saying to the universe, this ends with me. Your heart becomes a transmitter of compassion. And that compassion doesn't stop with one person. It radiates outward, touching every soul you encounter. That's why some people feel drawn to you after deep healing. They sense your peace. You become magnetic. Because forgiveness makes you luminous. Signs you've shifted frequency. How do you know you've truly forgiven? Not just in your head but in your energy. Here are a few subtle but profound signs. Neutrality. You can think of the person without an emotional spike. The story loses its charge. Compassion. You understand their actions from a place of awareness, not pity. Freedom. You stop needing closure or apology. Your peace is self-sourced. Synchronicities. You see signs of release. Feathers, white butterflies, repeating numbers like 111 or 777. Flow. Opportunities. Creativity and clarity return. Because your energy is no longer blocked by resentment. When these signs appear, it means your vibration has risen above the density of the old wound. You've stepped out of the loop of reaction and into the field of creation. Energetic exercise. Raising your forgiveness frequency. Here's a practice to help you anchor this shift. Sit in silence and place both hands over your heart. Imagine a golden sphere of light expanding from your chest. Visualize it pulsing gently, syncing with your breath. Now bring to mind the person or situation you want to forgive. Say silently, I release you with love. I honor what this taught me. I am free, and so are you. With each exhale, see the golden light expanding outward, first filling the room, then the sky, then the whole planet. As you continue, you might feel tingling, warmth, or even tears. Don't resist. That's energy in motion, emotion. Let it flow. The more you practice, the lighter you become. The lighter you become, the more love you attract. The higher truth. Forgiveness is not a favor. It's remembrance. You're remembering your divine nature, your infinite capacity to love beyond condition. Because the soul doesn't keep score, only the ego does. Your higher self already forgave everything the moment it happened. It saw beyond the pain and recognized the divine choreography behind it all. Every betrayal, every silence, every heartbreak was not random. It was the universe teaching you how to love without armor. When you align with that awareness, you enter a new dimension of being, where nothing needs to be fixed, only accepted and integrated. You become peace itself. Conclusion: the frequency of freedom. Forgiveness is not an end. It's a frequency you choose to live in. It's the sound of your soul returning home. It's the gentle hum of alignment after years of resistance. It's what makes union, true divine, unconditional union, possible. Because the universe doesn't unite souls who are still at war within themselves. It unites those who vibrate at the same wavelength of love. So when you forgive, you don't just let go of the past. You tune yourself to the future your soul has been calling in all along. Let this be your affirmation today. I am ready to rise above my pain. I choose the frequency of forgiveness. I release, I expand, I am free. If this message found you, it means your soul is ready to transcend the weight of the past. Comment below, I am free to anchor this vibration, and let forgiveness become your new frequency of love. Chapter 3. Forgiving yourself, returning to inner wholeness. Forgiving someone else is already difficult, but forgiving yourself, that's where the real healing begins. You can't hide from yourself. You can't run. You can't pretend you don't remember the things you said, the chances you missed, the love you couldn't sustain. The mind replays them in loops, late at night, in silence, in moments when your heart is almost at peace. That inner voice whispers, you should have known better. You shouldn't have said that. You ruined something sacred. And so you carry invisible guilt, not because of what you did, but because of who you think you became after it. But guilt is not truth. It's the shadow of misunderstanding. and forgiveness is the light that dissolves it. The silent war within. Most people live in a quiet war with themselves. They punish their own hearts for being human, for falling too fast, trusting too deeply, or walking away too soon. In the twin flame journey, this guilt can be magnified 100-fold. Because this connection feels divine, every mistake feels catastrophic. You think, if this was a sacred bond, why did I mess it up? Why did I run? Why couldn't I stay? But the truth is, your soul never failed the mission. It's still unfolding. The separation, the silence, the distance, all of it serves a higher function. To teach you compassion for yourself. Forgiving yourself is not about denying your imperfections. It's about reclaiming your wholeness. Despite them, the mirror turns inward. When we talk about the twin flame mirror, we often think it's about them, how they trigger our wounds, how they show us our pain. But the ultimate mirror is the one that reflects you back to yourself. Look closely. You are not the person who failed. You are the one who learned. Every tear, every regret, every wrong choice was your soul exploring. Contrast, discovering what love is by first learning what it is not. So why keep punishing yourself for something that was never meant to destroy you, only to awaken you? To forgive yourself is to stand before your reflection and say, I did the best I could with what I knew, and now I choose to love the one who tried. The anatomy of self-blame. Let's look at why self-forgiveness feels so impossible. The mind loves control. Blame, even self-blame, gives the illusion of control. If everything was your fault, then maybe you could have prevented the pain. Maybe next time, you can be better. But that belief keeps you trapped in guilt loops. You become the judge, the jury, and the prisoner of your own consciousness. You sentence yourself to endless emotional labor. Replaying what-ifs, rewriting the story in your mind, bargaining with time. But here's the spiritual paradox. You cannot evolve while condemning yourself. Condemnation keeps you anchored to the same vibration as the wound. Forgiveness, on the other hand, releases you into expansion. Self-forgiveness is the only way to reconcile your humanity with your divinity. It's the bridge that connects the part of you that fell with the part of you that now rises. The compassion frequency. True forgiveness begins when compassion enters the conversation. Compassion doesn't excuse your actions, it understands them. It says, you reacted from pain, not from malice. You were scared, not cruel. You didn't abandon them. You were trying to protect yourself. When you start to view your past choices through the lens of compassion, something profound happens. The inner critic quiets. The shame begins to dissolve. And the heart, the very same heart that once felt unworthy, begins to open. Again, you realize that your mistakes were divine detours. Each one was a teacher disguised as regret. Each moment of weakness was actually a seed of strength waiting for awareness. Releasing the need to be perfect. Perfection is the ego's trap. It tells you that healing means never falling again, never hurting again, never failing again. But real healing is cyclical, not linear. You will still stumble. You will still doubt. But with forgiveness, you will not stay down for long. When you release the idea that you must be flawless to deserve peace, you return to your natural state, innocence. Not the innocence of ignorance, but the innocence of clarity. A deep knowing that says, I am human and that is enough. Remember, your soul is infinite. Every experience, even the painful ones, becomes wisdom. So how could you ever truly ruin anything when life itself is designed to transmute error into evolution? Energetic healing through self-forgiveness. From an energetic standpoint, guilt is a constricting vibration located around the solar plexus, the center of personal power. When you feel guilt, the energy flow between your heart, love, and your will. Action gets blocked. You may feel tired, indecisive, creatively stuck, or unable to manifest your desires. When you forgive yourself, you restore this flow. You realign the upper and lower chakras, the divine and the human. You remember that both coexist beautifully within you. Try this. Place your hand over your heart and say, I forgive myself for being human. I honor the lessons that shaped me. I now release all self-punishment and return to love. Repeat this as many times as needed, because every time you say it, you're rewriting your energetic code. The shadow and the light. We often think our spiritual growth happens only in light, in moments of joy, clarity, or peace. But true expansion happens in the shadows, in the moments you meet your darkness and decide to love it anyway. Your anger, jealousy, fear, and regret are not flaws to erase. They are fragments of your being waiting for your embrace. When you suppress them, they rebel. When you shame them, they grow louder. But when you forgive them, when you say, "You belong too," they transform. That's what integration means. Not perfection, but inclusion. Self-forgiveness is the key that unlocks this integration. You stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as becoming the twin flame mirror of self. When you forgive yourself, your twin flame feels it too. Because remember, they are your energetic mirror. When you let go of guilt, they may begin to release their own. When you soften toward yourself, they soften toward you. When you accept your humanity, you unconsciously give them permission to do the same. That's why self-forgiveness is one of the most powerful acts of service you can offer to your connection. You're not just healing yourself. You're recalibrating the shared frequency of love. Union doesn't happen when two perfect people meet. It happens when two souls who have learned to forgive themselves recognize each other again. Without fear, without shame, without judgment. A practice for self-forgiveness. Here's a simple yet powerful exercise to embody this truth. Find a mirror. Look directly into your own eyes. Speak gently. I forgive you for everything you didn't know, for everything you couldn't do. You were learning. You still are. Breathe deeply. Imagine your reflection softening, your energy melting back into your heart. Visualize your inner child standing beside you. Smile at them. Tell them, you are safe now. I love you. And with gratitude, say aloud, thank you, past me, for surviving. Thank you, present me, for forgiving. Thank you, future me, for becoming. You might cry. That's okay. Tears are not weakness. They're evidence that your energy is moving again. Every tear that falls carries away a bit of the heaviness you've carried for years. Let them fall. Let them cleanse. Let them remind you that healing is happening now. Freedom through acceptance. Forgiveness doesn't mean rewriting your past. It means accepting it as part of your sacred path. It's understanding that you were never off track. You were always learning how to come home to yourself. And home is imperfection. Home is peace. Home is where you can hold your own heart and whisper, I forgive you. When you do, something shifts permanently. You stop chasing external validation. You stop defining yourself by failure. You start walking in wholeness, light and shadow integrated, soul and self united. That's the real union, not just with your twin flame, but with the divine essence within you. Closing reflection. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the person you were when you didn't know better. You are the awareness that emerged afterward. Forgiveness doesn't erase your past. It reclaims it. It transforms pain into wisdom, guilt into grace, and regret into power. So if you're ready, say this softly. I release the weight of who I was. I honor the journey that shaped me. I forgive myself completely, and in that forgiveness I am free. Because when you forgive yourself, you stop running from your reflection. You become one with it. You return to wholeness, and that is the moment your soul finally exhales. If this message resonates with you, take a deep breath and comment below. I forgive myself. Let the universe know that today, you chose freedom over guilt and love over judgment. Chapter 4. Forgiving the past, releasing generational pain and emotional karma. The past has a strange way of following us, not just through memories but through energy. It lives in the body, in the nervous system, in the choices we keep making without realizing why. And sometimes what we're carrying doesn't even belong to us. You can feel it in your bones, the heaviness that has no clear origin. You can sense it in the way you react to love, to abandonment, to silence. Because beneath your personal pain lies ancestral pain, emotional patterns passed down through generations that silently whisper, don't trust too easily. Love always hurts. You have to earn your worth. But forgiveness, true soul-level forgiveness, is what ends that echo. It is how you rewrite not just your story but your lineage. The invisible inheritance. You didn't start this story, you inherited it. From your parents. From their parents. from lifetimes where love was survival and survival meant suppression. Many of our wounds are generational imprints that were never healed. Fears of rejection, scarcity, shame, or abandonment that run through family lines like old songs no one remembers writing. You might have noticed the same emotional patterns repeating in your family. A mother who loves too much but loses herself. A father who closes his heart to avoid pain. A grandmother who stayed silent her whole life. A lineage of people who loved deeply but never learned to forgive. These inherited imprints become part of your energy field. They shape your beliefs about love and worthiness before you even know who you are. But the universe chose you to break the cycle. You are the one who remembers. You are the one who feels it deeply enough to say, "It ends with me." How the past locks the present. Every time you replay an old memory filled with resentment, you keep a piece of your energy trapped there. That's why it feels so exhausting, because part of your life force is still stuck in yesterday. The body keeps score. When you carry unresolved emotional pain, it manifests as tension in your shoulders, tightness in your chest, or heaviness in your gut. You might even feel déjà vu, meeting different people who trigger the same wound. That isn't coincidence. It's the universe replaying the lesson until you choose differently. Forgiveness is how you choose differently. It's how you tell the universe, "I've learned what this was meant to teach me. I no longer need to repeat it." When you forgive the past, you don't change what happened, but you free yourself from reliving it. Understanding emotional karma. Karma is not punishment. It's repetition. It's the energy loop that keeps replaying until awareness transforms it. Every time we hold on to resentment, we keep that energy alive, feeding the same vibration that created the pain in the first place. That's why it follows us through lifetimes, through relationships, through families. But the moment you forgive, truly forgive, the loop dissolves. You stop identifying as the victim and begin remembering yourself as the creator. Emotional karma ends the instant you say, "I choose peace over pain. I choose presence over the past." That's the real miracle of forgiveness. It transcends lifetimes. It heals both backward and forward in time. The paradox of remembering. People often ask, "How can I forgive when I can't forget?" But forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering differently. It's the shift from "that broke me" to "that shaped me." From "they ruined me" to "they revealed me." The event doesn't change. Your consciousness does. When you forgive, you rewrite the meaning. You reclaim authorship over your past instead of being imprisoned by it. And slowly, the memory loses its emotional charge. It becomes a teacher rather than a wound. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It rewires your relationship to it. Healing the parental wound. Every soul at some point must forgive their parents. Not because they were always right, but because they were human. Many of the patterns we carry come from the way we were loved or unloved in childhood. A parent's absence becomes fear of abandonment. A parent's control becomes fear of intimacy. A parent's silence becomes fear of expression. Yet when you step back and look through the lens of compassion, you see the cycle clearly. Your parents were wounded children too. They could only love at the level they were loved. When you forgive them, you free both of you. You no longer need them to change for you to heal. You take back your power by saying, "I no longer hold you responsible for my happiness. I choose to love myself now." This isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about removing the hook from your own heart. The twin flame connection and past healing. Your twin flame often activates unresolved wounds from your childhood or past lives. That's why the connection feels so familiar. Even when it's new, their actions, silence, or distance may mirror the emotional absence of a parent, the betrayal of a former life, or the abandonment you've carried since birth. They come as a catalyst, not to repeat your pain, but to reveal where forgiveness is still needed. When you heal the past through forgiveness, the energy between you shifts instantly. The triggers soften. The connection clears. Because the pain no longer has roots to grow from. And that's when union energy becomes possible, not because you chase it, but because you've cleared what once blocked it. The practice. A forgiveness ritual for the past. This is a sacred exercise you can do whenever old memories resurface. Create space. Sit in a quiet room with a candle or soft light. Call in your ancestors. Whisper, "To all who came before me, I honor you. I release what no longer serves." Visualize a timeline stretching behind you, filled with memories, faces, and emotions. See yourself holding a glowing white light in your hands. This light represents forgiveness, divine and unconditional. Breathe deeply. With each exhale, send that light down the timeline, letting it touch every shadow, every moment of pain. Speak aloud. I forgive the past. I release the pain. I bless every soul who played a part in my awakening. I now call all fragments of my energy back home, cleansed, healed, and whole. Sit in stillness and feel your body vibrate with warmth. The energy returning, the cycle closing. You'll know it's working when tears fall without sadness, when memories surface but no longer sting, when your breath feels deeper than before. That's your soul exhaling. That's your lineage healing. How forgiveness alters the timeline. Spiritually speaking, the past isn't behind you. It coexists with the present in the quantum field. Every time you revisit it with love instead of resentment, you alter its vibration. That's why forgiveness is so powerful. It doesn't just heal you now, it heals the energetic imprint of what happened then. You can't go back and change the event, but you can send a higher frequency to it. That frequency travels across timelines, shifting everything it touches. You might notice after deep forgiveness work that your relationships improve effortlessly, or that old family conflicts begin to soften without confrontation. That's not coincidence. That's the ripple of your energetic choice. The gift behind the pain. Every wound carries a gift. Forgiving the past is how you unwrap it. The betrayal taught you discernment. The heartbreak taught you boundaries. The abandonment taught you how to find home within yourself. When you can look at your past and say, thank you, not from denial but from understanding, you've reached the highest vibration of love, gratitude. Gratitude is the final form of forgiveness, because when you are grateful for the lesson, there's nothing left to forgive. Closing reflection. The past no longer defines you. It shaped you, yes, but it does not limit who you are becoming. Every time you choose forgiveness, you rewrite your story from survival to sovereignty. You stop inheriting pain and start passing on peace. You become the ancestor who healed the lineage. You become the light your family didn't know it was waiting for. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of centuries fall away. And say this softly. I forgive the past. I free my family, my ancestors, my heart. The cycle ends with me. And in its ending, I am reborn. Because when you forgive the past, the universe doesn't just applaud. It reorganizes itself to match your new vibration of freedom. And that is where true love, unconditional, eternal, divine, finally begins. If this message resonated with you, comment below. The cycle ends with me. Let's anchor this intention together, to forgive our past, free our lineage, and make room for a future built on peace. Chapter 5. The Practice of Forgiveness, a Heart-Based Path to Liberation. Forgiveness sounds beautiful in theory, but when you sit in silence, face the wound, and feel the ache rise in your chest, it doesn't feel like light. Feels raw. It feels like reopening the wound you've spent years trying to close. That's because forgiveness isn't an intellectual decision. It's an energetic process. You can't just decide to forgive with your mind and expect your heart to follow. The heart has its own timing, its own rhythm, its own language. So this chapter isn't about forcing forgiveness. It's about inviting it, allowing your heart to remember its natural state, openness. Because your heart, when free of fear and defense, already knows how to forgive. Forgiveness is not something you learn. It's something you uncover. The alchemy of the heart. The heart is the bridge between the human and the divine. It is both muscle and miracle. When it contracts with pain, it feels like it might never open again. But when it expands through compassion, it becomes a gateway to everything sacred. Forgiveness happens in the exact moment the heart transforms judgment into understanding. That's the alchemy. It's when "why did they do this to me?" quietly turns into "I see why it had to happen." You don't condone the act, but you see the lesson behind it. You don't erase the past, but you stop feeding it energy. The heart is the most powerful transmuter in the universe. It can turn grief into gratitude, betrayal into wisdom, pain into light. But only when you give it permission to feel fully, feeling to heal. The first step in forgiveness is not letting go. It's feeling through. You can't forgive what you haven't allowed yourself to feel. You can't release pain that's still buried under distraction or denial. So before you even attempt forgiveness, allow yourself to be honest. Sit with your truth. Admit, yes, I'm angry. Yes, I feel betrayed. Yes, I still wish it had been different. Let your emotions rise like waves. Don't judge them. Don't label them as low vibration. Feelings are not obstacles to forgiveness. They are the path to it. When you suppress emotion, you trap energy. When you feel it, you free it. Tears are the soul's way of unclogging blocked energy. Rage is passion that has forgotten its purpose. Sadness is love that has lost its direction. Let them all move through you. Let them have their moment. Because only when emotion is expressed can peace enter. The power of presence. Most of us relive our pain in stories, repeating the same memory, retelling the same wound, trying to extract meaning from it. But the more we stay in the story, the further we drift from healing. Forgiveness doesn't happen in the story. It happens in the space between thoughts, in pure presence. When you close your eyes, take a deep breath, and drop awareness from your mind into your heart, you enter that sacred space. It's quiet there. It's vast. It's not analyzing or explaining, simply feeling. That's where the energy of forgiveness begins to flow. Presence is the medicine, because pain cannot survive where you are fully conscious. When you are present, you stop resisting what happened. You stop fighting reality. You accept it as part of the divine choreography that shaped your evolution. And from that acceptance, compassion naturally arises. Forgiveness meditation, the heart light practice. Let's turn this awareness into practice, something tangible you can do whenever you feel the weight of old pain. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Step 1. Breathe light in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. As you inhale, imagine drawing golden light into your heart. This light is divine compassion, unconditional, infinite, forgiving. Step 2. Feel what's there. Now, as you exhale, allow your awareness to settle into your heart. Ask yourself gently, what emotion am I holding here? Don't analyze it. Just feel it. Maybe it's anger. Maybe sadness. Maybe a heaviness with no name. Step 3. Name it without judgment. Whisper, I see you. Call the feeling by its name. Acknowledge it as energy that has been waiting for your attention. Step 4. Bring in the light. Visualize the golden light in your heart expanding. See it surrounding the emotion, not to erase it but to embrace it. Tell yourself, I am safe to feel this. I am safe to release this. Step 5. Forgive and free. When you feel ready, imagine the person or situation that caused this pain standing in front of you. Say silently or aloud, I forgive you. I release you. I bless you with peace. And I free myself. Then turn the same light inward. I forgive me. I release me. I bless myself with peace. Step 6. Return to stillness. Sit in the silence that follows. Feel your heartbeat steady, alive, open. This is the vibration of forgiveness. Even if you only feel it for a moment, that moment changes everything. The layers of forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't happen all at once. It's a spiral. You revisit the same wound from new levels of awareness. First, you forgive with the mind because you understand. Then, you forgive with the heart because you feel compassion. Finally, you forgive with the soul because you see there was never anything to forgive. Each layer peels away an illusion. The illusion that you were a victim. The illusion that someone took your peace. The illusion that you are separate from the divine. With every layer you release, you rise higher in vibration. You begin to experience reality from the level of unconditional love, a frequency where forgiveness is not a task, but a state of being. Obstacles on the path. If forgiveness feels difficult, it's not because you're weak. It's because your ego still believes pain gives you identity. The ego whispers, if I forgive, I'll lose my power. They'll think they won. But the truth is, when you don't forgive, the past wins. Forgiveness isn't losing. It's releasing. It's taking your power back from the story. Another obstacle is fear of vulnerability. Forgiveness feels unsafe when the heart has been hurt too many times. So you build walls, mistaking them for boundaries. But walls protect you from love as much as from pain. The heart heals not by closing but by learning to stay open even when it trembles. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of bravery, to love again, to trust again, to live again, even after being broken. The energetics of release. As you practice forgiveness regularly, you'll begin to notice subtle energetic shifts. Your body feels lighter. Your breathing deepens. Your sleep becomes more peaceful. Relationships around you start to change. Not because others have changed, but because your vibration has. Resentment creates energetic cords, invisible threads that tie you to the memory of pain. When you forgive, those cords dissolve. You no longer leak energy into the past. You reclaim it. The more energy you reclaim, the more alive you feel. That vitality becomes creativity, intuition, and love, the very essence of your divine purpose. The practice of daily forgiveness. Make forgiveness a daily ritual, not a one-time act. Every night before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and say, "Today I forgive everything and everyone, including myself. I release all energy that does not belong to love." This simple sentence reprograms your subconscious. It teaches your system to release emotional residue before it becomes density. You'll wake lighter. You'll dream clearer. You'll live freer. Union through forgiveness. In the twin flame journey, forgiveness is not the end. It's the bridge. It's the point where both souls, consciously or unconsciously, meet in neutrality. When one twin practices true forgiveness, the other feels it. Walls crumble. Tension dissolves. The energetic field between you clears. Forgiveness doesn't guarantee physical reunion, but it guarantees energetic harmony. And in the realm of souls, that harmony is union. Because union doesn't begin when you come back together, it begins the moment you no longer hold resentment. When you forgive from your heart, you radiate pure love. Love that doesn't need to be returned, justified, or proved. And that love, in its purity, is what calls everything meant for you back home. Closing reflection. The heart remembers how. The truth is, you were born knowing how to forgive. Look at a child, they cry, they release, they love again. Their hearts don't hold grudges because they haven't yet learned fear. Forgiveness is not something new to learn. It's something ancient to remember. It's remembering that love is stronger than memory, and peace is more powerful than pain. So if your heart still feels heavy, don't rush it. Don't force it. Just sit with it. Breathe with it. Listen to it. Because one day, quietly, unexpectedly, it will soften on its own. And you'll realize forgiveness has already happened. Not because you tried, but because you finally stopped resisting love. If you've been waiting for a sign to let go, this is it. Forgive with your heart, not your head. Comment below, "My heart remembers how." And let's awaken the light of forgiveness together. Chapter 6. The result of forgiveness. When love becomes pure energy. Forgiveness does not end the story. It transforms it. It is the invisible threshold between the love that binds and the love that frees. When you finally forgive, your twin flame, yourself, your past, something miraculous happens. The energy shifts. The tension dissolves. The attachment softens. And what remains is pure love. Stripped of fear, ego, expectation, and time. It is not the romantic, desperate love that once burned like wildfire. It is quieter now. Steadier. Eternal. Forgiveness distills love down to its essence, energy. And energy cannot be broken, abandoned, or lost. From pain to purity. In the early stages of the twin flame journey, love often feels like chaos, intense, magnetic, consuming. The passion is overwhelming because your souls are mirroring every wound, every longing, every suppressed part of yourself. But after the storm, when the waves of pain have crashed and you choose forgiveness, you enter a new vibration. The energy between you clears, like the sky after rain. The love doesn't fade, it purifies. This is where love stops being about needing and becomes about being. You no longer crave their presence to feel whole. You no longer seek validation in their eyes. Instead, you carry the vibration of union within you. Forgiveness has purified your heart into a vessel of unconditional love. And unconditional love is not attachment. It is awareness. You see your twin not as the source of your pain or pleasure, but as a mirror of divine truth, a reminder that love was never about possession, but reflection. The energetic transformation. When resentment and pain are released, the frequency of your entire energy field rises. Where there was density, there is now flow. Where there was contraction, there is expansion. Forgiveness literally rewires your electromagnetic field, aligning your vibration with peace, compassion, and joy. This stage, you may notice subtle but profound changes. You feel lighter, as if gravity has loosened its hold. You breathe deeper because the heart no longer fears breaking. You attract situations that match your new frequency, people, opportunities, and synchronicities that reflect harmony instead of conflict. This is the natural law of vibration. What you embody, you attract. When you embody forgiveness, you become a transmitter of love. And that love radiates far beyond your twin flame connection. It ripples into your family, your friends, even strangers. Forgiveness makes you a portal of light in a world still learning to let go. Union beyond the physical. Here lies one of the deepest truths in the twin flame journey. Union is not always physical. Sometimes it is energetic. Merging of frequencies rather than bodies. When you forgive, you step into energetic union. You stop chasing, stop waiting, stop yearning for something outside of you. Because you realize the separation was never real. You have always been connected. Not through text messages or shared space, but through the eternal current of soul energy that flows between you. In the absence of resentment, this energy becomes pure. You begin to feel your twin's presence as peace, not pain. Their memory no longer stings, it soothes. Their absence no longer empties you. It fills you. This is the sacred paradox. You lose them as a person but find them as energy. You stop loving them with your hands and start loving them with your soul. Love without opposites. Forgiveness reveals the truth that love has no opposite. Hate, fear, anger. These are not opposites of love but distortions of it. They are what happens when love encounters ego. When forgiveness dissolves those distortions, love returns to its natural form. A vibration, a state of consciousness, a frequency that simply is. At that level, love is no longer a transaction. It doesn't say, I love you if, or, I love you because. It simply says, I love. This love cannot be taken away because it was never dependent on conditions. It was never created by a moment, so it cannot be destroyed by one. It is the same love that moves the stars, blooms the flowers, breathes your lungs. The same love that lives in your twin lives in you. Forgiveness simply clears the path for you to feel it again. The mirrored liberation. When you forgive, you don't just free yourself, you free your twin flame too. Because energy is shared, whatever you release within yourself ripples through the bond you share. If you've ever felt a sudden calm after days of turmoil, it's because somewhere at some level your twin flame chose peace too. Forgiveness creates resonance. The more love you embody, the more your twin is drawn into alignment, not because you control them but because energy naturally seeks harmony. This is the unspoken grace of forgiveness. When you stop sending energy of pain, your twin flame finally feels safe to return to love, in whatever form that means. Sometimes that means reconciliation. Sometimes it means silent understanding across dimensions. Either way, it is union not through control but through resonance. The physical reflection of inner peace. As your energy transforms, the external world begins to reflect it. You may notice your physical environment changing, relationships healing, old patterns falling away, synchronicities multiplying. Your twin might reappear, not as the person they were, but as the soul they've become through your shared evolution. Or you might meet someone entirely new, carrying the same frequency of love your heart has cultivated. Because the universe mirrors your vibration, not your memories. When you embody forgiveness, you attract relationships built on freedom, not fear. It's never about losing love. It's about making space for love that no longer hurts. The spiritual physics of forgiveness. Let's look at the metaphysics behind this transformation. Every emotional state emits a measurable frequency. Fear and shame vibrate below 100 Hz. Anger around 150 Hz. Love around 500 Hz. Forgiveness even higher, near 600 Hz, the frequency of enlightened compassion. When you forgive, your energy field begins to resonate closer to that high frequency. This not only affects your spiritual state but also your biology. Your immune system strengthens, your nervous system relaxes, your heart rhythm becomes coherent. You become a living field of harmony. And harmony is magnetic. That's why forgiveness feels like freedom. Your entire being realigns with the natural order of love. Forgiveness as a state of consciousness. Eventually, forgiveness stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You stop saying, "I forgive you," and start living from a consciousness that no longer needs to forgive because nothing feels like a wound anymore. You see through the illusion of separation. You understand that every soul is playing a role in your awakening. Even those who hurt you were unwittingly guiding you back to yourself. This is the highest dimension of forgiveness, unity consciousness. It's the awareness that there was never me and you. Only we. Only the one love expressing itself through different faces. At that level, you don't forgive to heal. You forgive because you remember there is nothing to heal. Only love to remember. Returning to the heart of union. Now, as you stand on the other side of forgiveness, look at what you've become. You are no longer the seeker chasing closure. You are the soul who carries peace wherever you go. The connection that once tore you apart has now brought you home to yourself, to God, to love. Forgiveness has done what no apology, reunion, or explanation ever could. It has made you whole. Union was never about two hearts becoming one. It was about one heart remembering its oneness. A meditation on pure love. Take a deep breath. Place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm, steady, ancient, eternal. Whisper, "I release all that is not love. I am grateful for the lessons. I am grateful for the pain. I am grateful for the freedom forgiveness has brought me. I am love. I am peace. I am whole." Sit in silence. Feel the stillness expanding through your body. That stillness, that peace is love. You have returned to your natural frequency. Closing reflection. Forgiveness is the final initiation of the twin flame journey. It is not the end but the beginning of true love, the kind that doesn't crave, doesn't cling, doesn't demand. Simply exists. You now understand that love was never about two halves becoming one. It was about one soul realizing it was never broken to begin with. And as you live from that truth, your very presence becomes medicine. You no longer seek union. You radiate it. Forgiveness has made your love pure. Pure as light. Pure as energy. Pure as truth. And from this purity, everything real will find you, effortlessly, divinely, inevitably. If this message touched your heart, take a deep breath and comment below. I am love in its purest form. Let's remind the universe that forgiveness is not the end of love. It's the moment love becomes everything. Chapter 7. Living in the frequency of forgiveness. Embodying peace in everyday life. Forgiveness is not just a moment. It's a frequency. It's not something you do once and walk away from. It's a vibration you choose to live in over and over again. After the storm, after the tears, after the release, comes the quiet. And in that quiet, life begins to ask, can you live what you've learned? It's one thing to forgive during meditation, when your heart is open and the light feels strong. But can you forgive in the middle of conflict? Can you stay peaceful when someone triggers an old wound? Can you remain compassionate when others project their pain onto you? This is where forgiveness evolves from a spiritual practice into a way of being. The shift from healing to living. Many people stop at forgiveness as if it's the final step. They think, I've healed. I've let go. My work is done. But the truth is, healing isn't an end. It's a doorway into a new way of living. When you've truly forgiven, you're no longer defined by your past story. You don't need to explain your pain or prove your growth. Your energy simply speaks for you. Living in the frequency of forgiveness means carrying that peace into everyday life. Not as a fragile calm that can be disturbed, but as a steady presence that transforms everything it touches. Because forgiveness is not passive. It's powerful. It's a way of responding to the world with love instead of fear. Moment by moment, breath by breath. The echoes of the old self. Even after deep forgiveness, old patterns will try to resurface. You might encounter familiar situations that once caused pain. A similar relationship dynamic, a familiar tone of rejection, a person who reminds you of your twin flame. When that happens, it's not the universe testing you. It's life showing you how far you've come. The echoes of the old self are not setbacks, they're invitations. Invitations to respond differently, to choose peace where once you chose defense, to embody your new vibration rather than reverting to the old one. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" again, ask, "What part of me is being invited to stay in peace?" That's how you anchor forgiveness, not by perfection but by presence. Responding instead of reacting. Living in forgiveness is about mastering the space between stimulus and response. When someone offends you, your ego wants to react, to defend, to prove, to strike back. But forgiveness whispers, pause. In that pause, you remember, this isn't about me. It's about energy. You begin to see every interaction as an exchange of frequencies. If you respond from love, you transform the energy. If you react from pain, you amplify it. The power of forgiveness lies in that moment, the moment you choose consciousness over instinct. That's how peace becomes a lifestyle, not just a meditation. The heart as compass. When you live in the frequency of forgiveness, your heart becomes your compass. It starts to guide you intuitively, away from environments that drain your energy toward people and situations that reflect your light. You no longer chase what doesn't align. You no longer argue to be understood. You simply move where love flows. Forgiveness gives you energetic clarity, a kind of internal GPS, global positioning system, that always points toward harmony. It's not about avoiding pain but about not anchoring in it. You allow life to flow through you without resistance, knowing that every experience, even the difficult ones, are opportunities to practice love in motion. Forgiveness in relationships. When you've learned to forgive deeply, every relationship becomes sacred ground. You begin to see that everyone you meet is carrying their own wounds, their own stories, their own battles. And suddenly it's harder to judge, because you recognize yourself in them. In your twin flame you saw your shadow. Now, in others you see their humanity. Forgiveness doesn't mean tolerating abuse or staying in toxic spaces. It means you can walk away without hate. It means you can set boundaries without resentment. It means you can wish someone peace, even as you choose distance. You understand that true love does not cling. It liberates. And that liberation is the ultimate form of forgiveness in action, the everyday practice. Here are ways to embody forgiveness daily. Not as a concept, but as a living vibration. Morning intention. Before getting out of bed, place your hand on your heart and say, "Today I will respond with love. I will not carry yesterday's pain into today's light." The breath of release. Whenever tension arises, take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, imagine letting go of old energy, resentment, fear, or judgment. Compassion in conversation. When someone triggers you, silently repeat, "They're showing me something to heal." It shifts you from victimhood to awareness instantly. Nightly cleansing. Before sleep, visualize golden light washing over your body, dissolving any dense emotions you absorb during the day. Whisper, "I forgive everything and everyone, including myself." Over time, these small acts reprogram your energy field. Forgiveness stops being something you do after pain, it becomes your automatic response to life. The return of grace. When you live in forgiveness, grace becomes your constant companion. Opportunities flow effortlessly. People respond to your energy differently. Synchronicities appear, guiding you toward places and connections that align with your peace. That's because forgiveness clears the blocks that once separated you from divine flow. Grace is what happens when you no longer resist life. It's the universe's way of saying, "You've surrendered to love, now let me take it from here." You realize that life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be trusted. And forgiveness is what allows that trust to return. Maintaining the frequency. Just as a musician tunes their instrument daily, you must tune your energy to the frequency of forgiveness. This doesn't mean you won't feel anger, sadness, or disappointment. It means you won't stay there. Whenever you notice your vibration dropping, when resentment creeps, inner judgment hardens your heart, pause, breathe, and ask, what would forgiveness feel like right now? You'll feel the answer in your body. A softening, and exhale, a return. Forgiveness is not a moral achievement. It's an energetic alignment. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to come back to love, again and again. forgiveness and service. When forgiveness becomes your nature, you naturally want to share it. You speak differently. Your presence calms others. You inspire peace without trying. Because heal people not through preaching, but through vibration. Your energy becomes medicine. You might notice strangers opening up to you, friends feeling safe around you, loved ones softening in your presence. That's because your heart, having released its own pain, now becomes a sanctuary for others. This is how forgiveness contributes to collective healing. When one heart chooses peace, the entire grid of humanity brightens. The union within. Ultimately, living in forgiveness is living in union, not with another but with yourself. You are no longer divided between who you were and who you are becoming. The parts of you that once fought, the wounded child, the betrayed lover, the fearful ego have now reconciled. Forgiveness was the mediator, and peace is the reunion. You walk through life whole. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can separate you from love again. That's the real gift of forgiveness. It doesn't promise a life without pain. It promises a heart that can hold it all and still remain open. Closing meditation, the frequency of peace. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Visualize your heart as a glowing orb of soft golden light. With every inhale, that light expands, filling your chest, your body, the space around you. With every exhale, it radiates outward, touching everyone you know, everyone you love, everyone who ever hurt you. Whisper, I am peace. I am forgiveness in motion. I live in love and love lives in me. Stay in this vibration for a few moments. Feel the calm, the clarity, the quiet strength of your soul. This is your true state. This is home. Closing reflection. Forgiveness was never about forgetting the past. It was about remembering who you are beyond it. To live in forgiveness is to live in freedom. Freedom from fear, from bitterness, from the illusion that you were ever broken. When you embody forgiveness, you stop waiting for peace to come from others. You become peace. And from that vibration, every breath, every smile, every moment becomes a prayer of love. You are no longer seeking the light. You are the light. If you're ready to live in peace, not just talk about it, comment below. I live in forgiveness. Let's raise the frequency together, one healed heart at a time. Chapter 8. Forgiveness and Union. How letting go opens the path to reunion. Forgiveness is not the end of the twin flame journey. It's the bridge that finally leads you home. After all the pain, the silence, the chasing, and the running, there comes a moment when you no longer ask, will we ever be together? Instead, you begin to ask, am I whole enough to love without fear? That is the moment union begins. Because true reunion, real divine, lasting union does not start when two people meet again. It begins when two souls rise to the same vibration of peace. And that vibration is born from one sacred act, forgiveness. Union is an energy, not an event. The greatest misunderstanding about the twin flame journey is thinking that union is something that happens outside of you. A phone call, a reconciliation, a romantic reunion. But union isn't a physical event. It's an energetic alignment. It's the state of consciousness in which both souls remember who they really are, pure love. When you forgive your twin flame, you dissolve every layer of resistance that kept that love from flowing freely. The energy that was once tangled in hurt, blame, and expectation becomes clear again. You stop broadcasting the frequency of lack. Why aren't they here? And start radiating the frequency of wholeness. I am already complete. The universe responds instantly because it doesn't hear your words, feels your energy. And when your energy says I am love, love reflects itself back to you in infinite ways, sometimes through your twin, sometimes through life itself. The physics of union. Everything in the universe operates on resonance. Two energies vibrating at different frequencies cannot harmonize. They repel each other until they find balance. This is why separation happens in the twin flame connection. It's not punishment. It's physics. If one twin is vibrating in fear and the other in attachment, the field between them becomes unstable. The connection intensifies until it forces one or both to retreat. That retreat, the so-called separation, is actually the space needed for energetic realignment. Forgiveness is the recalibration. It's what brings both frequencies back into harmony. When you forgive, you release the emotional charge that lowers your vibration. You stop oscillating between anger and longing, and your energy stabilizes into love. As your vibration steadies, your twin's energy begins to respond, consciously or unconsciously. Because twin flames share one energetic blueprint. What you heal in yourself, you heal in them. And what they release in themselves, you feel too. Forgiveness is how the two fields finally synchronize, like two musical notes merging into one beautiful chord. Letting go of the when. The ego always asks, when will union happen? But the soul whispers, union is already happening. Every act of forgiveness is a step closer to vibrational union. Even if nothing seems to change on the surface, you may not receive a message, a visit, or a sign immediately. But energetically, the distance between you and your twin shrinks with every ounce of resentment. You release. Because resentment vibrates in time. It's rooted in the past. Forgiveness vibrates in eternity. It exists only in the now. When you forgive, you step out of time. You stop living in what was or what should be, and you begin to live in what is. And what is, the present moment, is where union lives. That's why so many twin flames report feeling their counterparts' energy more strongly after they've surrendered. The surrender isn't losing them. It's rediscovering them in their truest form. Pure energy beyond all conditions. The soul mirror reflects light again. In the early stages, your twin flame mirrored your wounds. They triggered insecurities, abandonment, fears, jealousy, pride. All the parts of you that needed healing. But once forgiveness clears those distortions, your twin begins to mirror your light. You start to reflect the divine essence in each other, not the pain. That's the real purpose of the twin flame connection. Not romance, not possession, but illumination. You are each other's reflection in the purest sense. Mirrors of awakening. When the mirror is clean, when the energy of forgiveness has wiped away the fog of blame, the reflection becomes divine. You see them not as your other half, but as your other whole. And that realization changes everything. Union is no longer about coming together to fill a void. It's about merging two overflowing cups, two beings who have already become love. Forgiveness dissolves control. Before forgiveness, love often feels like control disguised as care. We think love means holding on, fighting, fixing, proving. But those are all ego's ways of trying to secure what it fears losing. Forgiveness breaks that illusion. It shows you that true love cannot be controlled, only allowed. When you forgive your twin flame, you release the energy of mine. You no longer demand outcomes or timelines. You trust the divine orchestration of your connection. You understand that if they are meant to walk beside you, the universe will align it, effortlessly. And if not, it's because the love between you is serving a higher purpose elsewhere. Either way, you're at peace. Because forgiveness has replaced control with surrender. Not surrender as weakness, but as wisdom. You no longer chase what is already yours. The love that lives within. The reunion frequency. When forgiveness becomes your foundation, reunion becomes inevitable. Whether physically, spiritually, or both. The frequency of forgiveness is unconditional love. Unconditional love is the frequency of reunion. In that vibration, you no longer repel your twin flame with fear, obsession, or need. You magnetize them with peace. The universe loves balance. And when you are balanced within yourself, life naturally brings back what matches your vibration. Not to test you, but to harmonize with you. Sometimes your twin returns in the physical realm, mirroring your evolution. Sometimes they stay in spirit, connected through dream, telepathy, or subtle signs, because the lesson has already been learned. Either way, you feel complete. Because forgiveness has made you whole. A meditation for energetic union. Find a quiet space. Breathe slowly. Close your eyes. Visualize your twin flame standing before you, not as the person you once knew, but as pure energy, radiant light. Notice the cord of energy connecting your heart to theirs. Shimmering, vibrant, alive. Now take a deep breath and say inwardly, I forgive you for everything you did and didn't do. I forgive myself for everything I held against us. I release the stories, the pain, the fear. Only love remains. As you breathe out, see any dense energy between. You dissolve into golden light. That light expands until both of you merge into one luminous field. Peaceful, balanced, infinite. This is union. Not in the future. Not in the past. But right now, in the energy of love that never left. Stay in this frequency for as long as you can. This is how you live in reunion energy long before it appears in form. The divine reflection of freedom. When union happens after forgiveness, it's no longer addictive or volatile. It's stable, spacious, sacred. You don't cling out of fear. You connect out of freedom. You don't need to be together to feel united, you simply are. And paradoxically, it is that freedom, that lack of attachment that allows the connection to thrive. Because true love doesn't suffocate. It breathes. You've both learned to hold love gently, not tightly. You've both understood that love can't be lost, only blocked. And forgiveness has unblocked it once and for all. In this space, union is effortless. Not because the journey was easy, but because your energy is finally aligned with truth. Union as a collective awakening. On a deeper level, when twin flames reach union through forgiveness, they serve a greater purpose, collective healing. Because your connection is not only personal, it's energetic. When you forgive, your vibration radiates into the collective consciousness, softening old paradigms of separation, control, and conditional love. You become living proof that love can transcend pain, ego, and time. Your union becomes a frequency others can feel, a silent transmission that says, "This is what love looks like when it's free." That is why twin flame unions are sacred, not because they're rare, but because they are revolutionary. They anchor divine love into human form, and forgiveness is the gateway that makes it possible. Closing reflection. So if you are wondering whether you and your twin flame will ever reunite, remember this. Union begins the moment you forgive. When you release the story of who hurt whom, when you let go of the timelines, when you open your heart fully, the energy between you shifts. You no longer seek union, you embody it. And that embodiment changes everything. It may draw your twin flame back to you in this lifetime, or it may complete a cycle that allows both of you to ascend into new dimensions of love. Either way, love wins. Because forgiveness always leads home. I forgive, I release, I trust. I am in union with my soul, and through that union, everything meant for me flows effortlessly into being. If you're ready to open the path to true union, comment below. Forgiveness is my bridge to love. Let's raise the vibration of reunion. Together, one forgiving heart at a time. Chapter 9. The Ripple Effect of Forgiveness. Healing the collective through personal transformation. Forgiveness might seem like a private act, a silent whisper between you and your soul, a quiet release that no one else witnesses. But the truth is far greater. When you forgive, you do not only free yourself, you free the world. Because energy never stops at the edge of your skin. Every thought, every emotion, every act of compassion sends ripples through the collective field of consciousness, the vast ocean that connects every soul. And in that ocean, your forgiveness becomes a wave of healing, traveling farther than you can ever imagine. The illusion of separation. We are taught from birth to believe in separateness, my body, my life, my pain. But quantum physics, ancient mysticism, and modern spirituality all say the same thing. Everything is energy, and all energy is connected. The human heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable several feet outside the body. Your emotions radiate frequencies that interact with the world around you, influencing others unconsciously. So when you hold resentment, that vibration doesn't just live inside you. It reverberates outward, subtly affecting your relationships, your environment, even global consciousness. And when you forgive, when you transmute anger into love, that vibration also spreads. You become a transmitter of peace in a world addicted to conflict. Your energy speaks louder than words, and it says, there is another way. Forgiveness as collective medicine. Imagine humanity as one great organism, every person a cell in that body. When one cell carries trauma or toxicity, the body as a whole feels it. But when one cell heals, it sends that signal through the system, reminding other cells what wholeness feels like. That's how forgiveness works. It's not only personal liberation, it's collective medicine. Each time you forgive, you reduce the vibration of suffering in the collective field. Each time you release an old wound, you make it easier for others to do the same. This is why spiritual teachers say healing yourself heals the world. Because the world is you seen from another angle. How energy travels through the collective. Your heart, once closed by pain, becomes an antenna when forgives. It begins to emit the frequency of unconditional love. 500 Hz and above, one of the most coherent and transformative vibrations measurable by science. This frequency doesn't stay local. It travels, touching everyone you think of, everyone you meet, everyone who crosses your path. You may notice strange coincidences after deep forgiveness work. People who once avoided you start showing up again. Strangers treat you with inexplicable kindness. Old conflicts resolve without effort. That's not coincidence. It's resonance. Your energy has shifted and the world rearranges itself to match it. When enough individuals forgive, that shift becomes global. The collective consciousness rises step by step, heart by heart. Forgiving for those who can't yet forgive. Some people are too wounded to forgive. Their pain runs so deep that the very idea feels like betrayal of themselves, of justice, of truth. But when you forgive, you hold space for them. You become an energetic placeholder for what's possible. Your act of forgiveness gives permission to others, even subconsciously, to start softening their own hearts. Think of it like lighting a candle in a dark room. The flame doesn't force others to light theirs. It simply shows that the darkness was never stronger than the light. By forgiving, you are not just healing your story. You are shifting the frequency of humanity's story. From vengeance to understanding, from suffering to compassion, breaking the chain of pain. Every generation inherits the emotional residue of those before it. Unspoken anger, unresolved grief, unhealed trauma. Families, nations, even entire cultures carry these energetic imprints. That's why wars repeat. Why patterns of abuse echo through lineages. Why love so often turns into control. Until someone decides to stop the cycle. When you choose forgiveness, when you consciously say it ends with me, you become the turning point of that ancestral current. You release not just your pain, but the pain of those who came before you. Your forgiveness sends healing backward through time. To your parents, grandparents, ancestors who never had the tools or awareness to do what you're doing now. They feel it. Their souls recognize it. And they bless you for it. Because every time you forgive, you rewrite the emotional DNA of your lineage. Your children, literal or energetic, will inherit freedom instead of fear. Forgiveness as a form of leadership. The world doesn't change because of politics or revolutions. It changes because of consciousness. Forgiveness is a radical act of leadership. Not in titles or power, but in vibration. Anyone can fight. Anyone can retaliate. But to forgive, to look at pain, and choose peace, that is mastery. When you embody forgiveness, you lead by example. Not by preaching, but by presence. People feel calmer around you, even if they don't know why. They feel seen. Instead of judged, they begin to mirror your peace. And that's how true transformation happens, not from systems but from souls. The butterfly effect of the heart. There's a famous idea in chaos theory called the butterfly effect. The flutter of a butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane halfway across the world. Forgiveness works the same way. A single act of release, one breath of compassion, one silent "I forgive you" whispered to the universe, can ripple outward, affecting people and places you'll never meet. You might never see the results, but they exist. Because energy never dies. It only transforms. Somewhere, someone finds the strength to forgive because of the vibration you released. Somewhere, a conflict softens. Somewhere, love returns where it was once lost. You may not realize it, but by forgiving, you become a quiet architect of world peace. The twin flame mission expands. For twin flames, this ripple effect is even more profound. Your connection was never just about the two of you. It was always about awakening love on a global scale. Your healing serves as a blueprint for others. A map showing how divine love can exist within human imperfection. When you forgive your twin flame, you amplify that blueprint. Your shared energy becomes a field of unconditional love that radiates into the collective. This is why twin flame unions often inspire others without even trying. People sense the vibration of authenticity, vulnerability, and sacred compassion. They feel hope again. So when you heal, you are not doing it only for yourself or your twin. You are doing it for the countless souls who still believe love must equal suffering. You are showing them another way, love without conditions, connection without control, peace without fear. Forgiveness as a planetary frequency shift. Humanity is in the middle of an energetic evolution, a shift from fear-based consciousness to love-based consciousness. Every act of forgiveness accelerates that shift. Think of the world as a great symphony. Every heart is an instrument. When one heart forgives, its note becomes clearer, purer, more harmonious. And the more hearts play that note, the faster the dissonance fades. This is how the collective ascends, not through mass awakening alone, but through the simple, powerful, repeated act of forgiveness. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's quiet, subtle, sacred. Yet it moves mountains of energy the way wind shapes sand. Forgiveness is the vibration that will change the world. A global meditation for collective healing. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Imagine standing on a mountaintop at sunrise. The world stretches before you. Cities, oceans, forests. People of all colors and stories. Now from your heart, imagine a beam of golden light radiating outward, touching every soul, every corner of the planet. Whisper these words in your mind. I forgive all that was. I bless all that is. I send love to all who have forgotten how to love. May this forgiveness ripple across the earth, awakening peace in every heart. See the light. Expanding, crossing borders, melting walls, healing generations. See anger softening into compassion. See fear transforming into hope. See humanity remembering its unity. That's the power you carry. That's the legacy of your forgiveness. Closing reflection. You may never know how far your forgiveness travels. You may never meet the lives it touches or the hearts it heals. But every act of peace contributes to the great healing of the collective. You are not a small being lost in the chaos of the world. You are the world remembering itself through you. When you forgive, you are doing the universe's oldest work, turning pain into love, darkness into light. So the next time you wonder if your forgiveness matters, remember this. Every wave begins as a single ripple. And your ripple, your heart, your healing, your grace, is shaping the tide of humanity itself. My forgiveness is not small. It heals my soul, my lineage, and the world. I am a ripple of peace in the ocean of love. If this message touched your heart, comment below. My forgiveness heals the world. Together, let's raise the collective vibration, one act of love at a time. Chapter 10. The Freedom of Love. When forgiveness turns into unconditional living, there comes a moment after the storm, after the tears, after the countless inner battles, when everything becomes still. The noise fades. The longing quiets. And in that stillness, something magnificent emerges. Freedom. It's not the kind of freedom that comes from running away or forgetting. It's the freedom that comes from understanding, from remembering who you truly are. When forgiveness has done its work, love transforms. It's no longer a fragile emotion dependent on conditions or promises. It becomes a state of being. This is unconditional love, the purest vibration in existence. It asks for nothing, demands nothing, and fears nothing. Simply is. The journey home to yourself. Forgiveness has been the journey home, not to your twin flame, not to anyone else, but to you. All along you thought you were searching for another person, another half of your soul. But the deeper truth was unfolding. Beneath that longing, you were searching for the parts of yourself you had abandoned. Every wound your twin flame triggered was a doorway. Every heartbreak was an invitation to return to your essence. Every moment of surrender was a step toward remembering your wholeness. And now, as you stand at the end of this cycle, you realize you were never broken. You were never incomplete. You were simply forgetting your own infinity. Forgiveness guided you back to that remembrance. It peeled away the layers of illusion, resentment, guilt, shame, fear, until only truth remained. And that truth is love. Unconditional love beyond the human definition. Human love often begins with desire and ends with expectation. It wants to possess, to define, to control. But unconditional love has no agenda. It doesn't say, I love you if you stay, or I love you because you make me feel whole. It says, I love you, period. That's the kind of love forgiveness births. Because when you've forgiven deeply, truly forgiven, there's nothing left to protect, nothing left to fear. You can love freely without losing yourself. Unconditional love doesn't mean tolerating harm or staying in unhealthy dynamics. It means you can hold love in your heart, even while choosing distance, boundaries, or silence. It means you can bless someone's path even if it no longer intertwines with yours. It means your love no longer depends on circumstances. It flows from your essence. The end of attachment. Forgiveness dissolves the root of attachment. Attachment is born from fear of loss, fear of separation, fear of not being enough. But once you've faced every shadow, cried every tear, and looked directly at the illusion of separation, you discover that love was never something you could lose. Love is not an external event. It's an eternal energy flowing through you. When forgiveness clears the blockages, love begins to flow effortlessly again. You no longer cling to outcomes. You no longer chase what's already yours. You no longer need your twin flame or anyone else to validate your worth. You love because you are love. And that realization, that absolute embodied knowing, is liberation. The lightness of being. When you live in unconditional love, life feels lighter. You no longer interpret everything through the lens of past wounds. You stop expecting betrayal, disappointment, or abandonment because you've healed the part of you that believed you deserved them. You start to see beauty everywhere. In the strangers. Smile, in the quiet morning air, in your own reflection. Because the moment you forgive everything, the world reflects that forgiveness back to you. You attract peace, not chaos. You magnetize joy, not drama. You radiate wholeness, not need. You realize that life was never against you. It was always conspiring to bring you home to love. When union becomes existence. In the earlier stages of the twin flame journey, union feels like a destination, the long-awaited goal after endless separation. But once you embody unconditional love, you understand. Union was never a point in time. It was a state of consciousness. Union is not two becoming one. Union is one recognizing itself in two. You and your twin flame were never apart. You were simply learning to see beyond illusion. To remember that both of you are expressions of the same divine source. When you live in forgiveness, this truth becomes your reality. You feel your twin's energy not as longing, but as resonance. You sense their presence not through obsession but through peace. You love them freely without needing them to mirror it back. And paradoxically, that freedom often becomes the very magnet that brings physical union, because love, when pure, attracts itself. The flow of divine reciprocity. In unconditional love, giving and receiving become the same act. There's no imbalance, no scorekeeping, no waiting for validation. You give love because it feels natural to let it flow through you. You receive love because you no longer block it with fear. This is divine reciprocity, the universal law of flow. Whatever you release returns to you multiplied. Whatever peace you share finds its way back into your life. When you forgive, you align with this flow completely. You stop swimming against the current of life and begin moving with it. And the universe, sensing your harmony, opens every door that was once closed. Opportunities appear without effort. People show up at the right time. Synchronicities become daily miracles. This is what living in love truly means. Not chasing blessings, but embodying the vibration that naturally attracts them. The sacred solitude of freedom. There is a profound stillness that follows real forgiveness. A sacred solitude. You're not lonely anymore. You're whole. Solitude becomes a sanctuary rather than a sentence. You find joy in your own company, peace in your own presence, beauty in silence. Because your heart no longer needs to be filled. It simply overflows. You may still long for partnership, but it's no longer a craving born of emptiness. It's a calling born of abundance, the desire to share the love you already are. This shift from need to creation is what transforms your reality. You stop attracting relationships that mirror your wounds and start attracting ones that mirror your wholeness. That's the true reward of forgiveness, the freedom to love without fear. Living as love itself. At this stage, forgiveness is no longer an action or even a mindset. It's your identity. You are love walking. You are forgiveness breathing. You are the embodiment of Compassion in human form. You begin to respond to life differently. When someone hurts you, you see their pain instead of their offense. When challenges arise, you see lessons instead of punishment. When endings come, you see transformation instead of loss. Everything becomes an expression of love wearing different masks. This is mastery, not detachment from emotion but integration with spirit. You live from the heart's intelligence, guided by peace, unshaken by chaos. You no longer seek heaven above. You carry it within. The infinite cycle of love, forgiveness, love, and freedom form an infinite loop, each feeding the other endlessly. When you forgive, you open your heart. When your heart opens, you love. When you love, you are free. And when you are free, forgiveness flows effortlessly. This is the eternal rhythm of the awakened soul. The dance between human and divine, between shadow and light, between remembering and returning. You begin to see life as one great conversation between your soul and the universe. A dialogue written in synchronicities, sensations, and silent understandings. There is no more chasing, no more proving, no more striving, only being, only presence, only love. A meditation on freedom. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Breathe in slowly, and as you exhale, let go of all effort. Visualize your heart as a radiant sun, golden and infinite, shining in every direction. Whisper softly, I am love. I am light. I am free. See your heart expanding, dissolving walls, borders, and names. See it embracing your twin flame, your past, your future, the whole planet. All differences melt into one luminous field. This is freedom. This is love beyond limits. This is who you have always been. Stay here for a few moments. Let this remembrance fill you until there is no you and them. Only love flowing endlessly. Closing reflection. The journey began with pain, separation, and confusion. It ends with peace, unity, and truth. You are not who you were when this began. You are lighter, wiser, and infinitely freer. Forgiveness was not the reward. It was the rebirth. And love was not the destination. It was the essence you rediscovered along the way. So walk forward now, not as someone who found love, but as someone who became it. Wherever you go, may your presence be a reminder that love needs no conditions to exist, no promises to endure, and no possession to be real. Because once you've forgiven everything, you belong to everything. You are love, and love is freedom. I am free because I love without condition. I am whole because I have forgiven. I am love in human form. If you've reached this point in your journey, take a deep breath and comment below. I am love, I am free. May your forgiveness light the way for others to find the same peace within.